Hi everyone, welcome back. In this session, we are going to discuss about what is this Azure Web Services, Azure App Services, and especially we are going to see how to work with the web application, deploying the web application in different ways. We are going to see. So it will be minimum 3 to 4 hours of session. So I'm going to break it part by part, and we are going to have the video recordings. So let me start with the Azure App Services. So the lesson objective is very simple. By the end of the module, you'll be able to understand the importance of app service plan. You can create and publish the web application and the API in Azure. You can even understand how the Azure CDN works, but anyway, I'm not going to cover that topic here. We are going to see how to work with the deployment slot. That's a very important one, and understand the need for enabling the cross-origin resource sharing. So these are all some of the very important thing as a web developer you should know, especially in working with Azure. So I'm going to cover all the topic here. So first you need to understand what is this Azure App Service is all about. When you're talking about the app service, it's a platform. So now we are moving into this platform as a service. So far we have worked with IaaS. Now we are moving into this concept called platform as a service. So we already have a platform. I'm just going to simply deploy my application. Especially we can deploy a mobile application or a web application or an API application or a logic application. So if you want to deploy any application, the first thing you are supposed to do is we are supposed to create an app service plan. We need to have an app service plan. That app service plan will have the it'll be having the basic environment where you can simply take your application and then just deploy that. So that's what this Azure App Service is all about. And let me just try to move into this. So that's what App Service is, a platform as a service that lets you to create web, mobile and many other app and run this app on fully managed virtual machine. So the meaning fully managed virtual machine means we are not going to manage it. Azure is going to manage. So the only thing we can do here is we can just simply scale that, or else we can do some sort of configuration. We can configure our application and put it there so that it will work. So the advantage here is I don't want to worry about my virtual machine, the underlying operating system. Just you need to select that, it will take care. No need to install anything. Okay, so in this app service environment, it's an environment which provides a fully isolated and dedicated environment for securely running your app service apps at a high scale. So we can host our Windows web application, Linux web application, still it is in the preview, and even Docker container, it's in preview. In the app service environment, we can just simply take one Docker container and publish it. That's option is also there, but it is in the preview mode. And we can deploy your mobile app. When you're talking about the mobile app, it is going to host the mobile app backend. So when you are going with Google Play Store or Android app and all those stuff we are creating, I need to have the backend where I can have it in the sense I can have it in my Azure. And the reason for not working with the mobile app is we need to I'm not going to show any demo on mobile app because I need to use the Java and I need to install the Android SDK. A lot of things will come into the picture. So we are going to restrict ourselves only with the web apps, API apps and logic apps. So we are going to see how to do that. Now, app service plan. So what is this app service plan? First, instead of going through this PPT, directly we'll try to create one app service plan so that you can understand it very well when I'm showing this theoretical stuff. So to create the app service plan, I'm opening the portal.azure.com. So in this portal.azure.com, I'm moving into our search for app service plan. First, we need to have an app service plan. In the plan, we need to specify, I told you, right, we are going to create an environment. That environment is of what size and what sort of operating system you are going to use. Such things needs to be get created. If you see, already I'm having one app service plan called a CG free plan. In the CG free plan, I have deployed 3 applications. So first I'm going to create another app service plan called demo free plan, where I'm going to deploy one HTML website, a simple HTML website. So look at this, I'm creating Visual Studio Professional, and the resource group I'm just naming it as WebRG. Press OK, and the name for this is demo free app plan. It'll ask you what operating system. I want to use Windows operating system. So the region I'm using West Europe, and look at this. This is where you need to, this will decide whether it is free or whether it is cost and all those stuff. So when I just try to click change the style, change the size, it will open with a new blade. In this blade we have the Spec Picker, where you can go ahead and select this. For example, in the development and the testing mode, we have these 3 pricing tiers. I'm just going with F1. When I select this option, it is completely free. When it is completely free, in this app service plan, you can place lot of application, but the problem is it doesn't have the features which is provided by D1. For example, if I deploy a site, that site name we cannot decide. That, for example, I want to create a website called karthik.com with a URL or a domain name called karthik.com. That is not possible. Why? Because this is a free tier. So they will provide the name on their own ending with azurewebsites.net. But when I go for D1, look at that. When I select this option, for every month it is 639 rupees. That is, I'm going to deploy my application. When I deploy my application, every month it will cost 639. There is no other hidden cost. Like if you are taking the virtual machine, I need to, for virtual machine there will be a separate cost. For storage account there will be a separate cost. For public IP address there will be a separate cost. I need to manage a lot of things. When I go for platform as a service, it's very clear. If I'm just going to use this every month, for sure it is going to be 639 rupees, because you are not going to stop the web application in the night, right? It is like a web application, if you deploy, it should be 24/7, it should work. So when I go for such things, when I go with this D1, I will get one additional feature called custom domain. I can provide my own domain name. If I select this, I don't have any features. Okay, that's the difference between this. And if I go for B1, price is 2,163. So obviously we'll get some more features. Like, look at this. I'll get the custom domain. Not only custom domain, I can enable my application with SSL certification. I can run my application with HTTPS protocol. That feature will be there when you're moving with B1. But when you go with D1, you won't have that SSL feature. So it is very much mandatory, right? If you are creating any application, it should be enabled with SSL. So I need to go with this B1. And when I go with B1, manual scale, okay, I need to manually scale it. If I want to scale it with, we have the horizontal scaling and vertical scaling option I told to you already. I need to manually scale it. Maximum of 3 instances can be created if it is based on the availability. But if I go for some more additional information, if I pick up this one, look at this B3, every month it's going to almost 8,654 rupees. When I select this, look at the features it will have. Do I have that option? No, I think it is not showing to me. But anyway, I'll go with the production. In the production, I'm selecting this one. Look at this. We'll get the custom domain. We can auto scale. There is no manually scaling. Auto scale, automatically it will scale up to 20 instances. And we have the staging slots. Like we can have a production, testing, like that. We can just simply swap, and it will have the daily backup. And it will provide you some options called traffic manager. Many such features will be available. So this is what my app service plan. So in this, I'm going to simply create a free plan because it's just a demo. let me apply that. So demo free app plan in Windows in West Europe. I've just selected that, and let me review and create it. So it is very much mandatory. Without creating an app service plan, we cannot deploy the web app, mobile app, API app, or logic app. Or I'll put it in this way: platform as a service is not possible without this app service plan. Okay, let it get created. Okay, you can see now our application has been deployed. That is, sorry, app service plan is done. We can go to the service. So here we have the options like overview. So it's ready, and there are no apps as of now, and it is in the West Europe, and there are a lot of settings can be done. Like when you click the apps, it will just display the apps. As of now, there is no app, and you can just set the networking, file system storage, many such things, and you can scale up or scale down. So when you're going with scale up option, just now a question came, is it possible to change it? Yes, right now in F1 we cannot change that. We cannot scale up with multiple instances. Then we need to change that to some other pricing tiers so that we can go ahead. Okay, and we have the option of, we can just set the properties, and we can get the alerts. Whenever something happens, I need to get a SMS. So such things like any problem when somebody is trying to some exception occurs, so we can just set the alerts. We have a separate session on this alerts and metrics, and in the metrics we can just see the complete detail, and we can have our custom dashboard, and we can just see the resource health. If any problem occurs, all the stuff will be displayed here. So this is what our demo free app plan. So once this plan is ready, we can go ahead and publish our web applications or mobile application or logic application or API application. Any application, we need to have a app service plan. Okay, now let me try to create a web application. So to create the web application, I'm just moving into the all services. Okay, a web. In this web we have this app services. Okay, we can just click that and create it. This is one option, or otherwise simply go to the marketplace. From the marketplace, let me create a web. So you can see, select the web. So there are a lot of website templates will be available for you. So this will be the best option. So when I just select this web app, it will create a Microsoft web application, that is ASP.NET application, that you can select it. Or I'm just going with, since it is a normal one, I'm going with the HTML5 empty web application. You can go with ASP.NET empty web application, right? If you remember, the app service plan that we have created is in the Windows operating system. So I'm just going with HTML5 empty web application, and let me create that. So when I try to create this HTML5 empty web application, first it will ask you give a app name. So this app name must be unique. For example, I'm just saying CG Karthik. So there is nobody has registered this name. So CG Karthik dot, look at this, AzureWebsites.net. Is it possible to change instead of CG Karthik to Karthik.com? We cannot, because we are going to host it in a free tier. If you have gone for the pricing one, we have an option of custom domain where I can say that whenever I type Karthik.com, it should redirect to this one, but user won't see CG Karthik, they will see Karthik.com only. Like when I say Capgemini.com, they might be it might be hosted in some Azure web app, but we are seeing only Capgemini.com. That is a custom domain facility. We are going to see a demo on that. So subscription is Visual Studio Professional. Resource group, I'm just using the resource group called WebRG, and app service plan, you can just select this. So these are all the app service plan available. So I'm just going with the free. Okay, And do you want any application insight? Once again, we are going to discuss this part in detail later. So let me just disable this. Apply. So application insights is disabled. What is this application insight? It is mainly for doing the diagnostic and monitoring your web application that we'll discuss tomorrow. So we got this website. So create this. So this is a HTML5 empty web application. So let it get deployed. Okay, if you see, we have successfully deployed that application. When I click go to resource, it will take me to that HTML5 web app, CG Karthik, as an app. And you can see in the right hand side, still that name is not, yeah. You can see the URL. So let me just copy to the clipboard. And I'm trying to run this application, cgkarthik.azurewebsites.net. So it's a blank HTML5 application, nothing special with that. But I want to host something. Okay, if you are accessing this, same output, nothing special there. cgkarthik.azurewebsites.net, a blank HTML5. I want to put something inside this. So from where, if I want to do the deployment, okay, it's a part of a continuous integration as well. Like I'm going to develop the application and I'm going to push it. Okay, try to understand. This HTML5 application is currently nothing. I'm going to create a simple HTML5 application using any editor. I'm going to use editor called Visual Studio Code here, and I want to push that into a Git. You all know what is Git is all about. Okay, which is used for versioning. What is it? Not only a versioning, it is used for continuous integration as well. Like TFS, priorly we use the TFS and all those stuff. Now people have started using the Git, and we have another stuff called GitHub. So Git and GitHub, I have created a small 20 minutes video. Okay, I highly recommend you people to go through that video so that you can understand the Git and GitHub. Not only Git and GitHub, I have shown how to use Git and GitHub using a free editor called Visual Studio Code. That video is available in our Yammer page, yammer.com/capgemini.com. And meanwhile, the people who have not used Yammer, it's our social learning platform. That's how I'm seeing, but we can collaborate it with anything. So let me just give that video link, and I highly recommend you to go through this, getting started with Git. Learn Git and GitHub in just 20 minutes. I have not used the commands. For working with the Git, the people used to say Git Init, and they will be pushing that information into the GitHub. For that, there are a lot of commands they would have used. But instead of using the commands, I'm just going to simply use our Visual Studio Code. With the help of the Visual Studio Code, I'm just going to put this into the GitHub. So our task is very simple. For this HTML website, currently it is blank, nothing is there. But what we are going to do now is, I'm going to create or develop a HTML5 application and put that into the GitHub. And I need to make my cgkarthik@azurewebsites.net to pull that files from the GitHub. Every time whenever you do some changes, it should automatically get reflected. Okay, to continue this demo, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code as my editor to create a HTML web page, and I'm going to put that HTML web page into the GitHub with the concept of continuous integration and also I'm going to teach you how to use Git in Visual Studio. So many things together we are going to do now. So let me open my Visual Studio. Sorry, not Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code. So open that. And for your information, Visual Studio Code is nothing but a free editor. It's one of the popular editor among the web developers now. Okay, let me open it. So this is a Visual Studio Code. It is just 75 MB. It is available in Windows, Mac and Linux operating system. So the advantage of using this editor is when you learn or when you start working with this editor in Windows, and if you are getting an opportunity to work in Linux also, we have the same look and feel. You won't feel anything different because it is available in 3 different flavors and it is completely free, and it is the most popular editor among the web developers. Because when you are if you are a web developer, you people will be using the WebStorm, right? That is a very popular one, and Sublime is there, but WebStorm is not freeware, and Atom is there. Like Atom and Sublime, Visual Studio Code is becoming very popular, especially the Angular developers and React developers are using this. So I thought of giving you an idea about this Visual Studio Code as well. Visual Studio Code is not only for web application. In fact, I can create console applications also. Like our Visual Studio, we can create C# application here, not only C#, Python, all sort of programming languages, even Java also can be compiled here. So it is a very popular editor. So I'm trying to give that information to you all. Okay, so we have opened the Visual Studio Code. In this Visual Studio Code, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to simply create one folder in my desktop called Azure Web App. Let me create a folder. Called new folder named Azure Web App. So this is the folder where I'm going to create my application. Okay, and this folder I'm just going to open in Visual Studio Code by just selecting File, open the folder from the desktop named Azure Web App. So this is a folder. So once you open the folder, you can see something like this. In this folder, you can go ahead and create anything. But as of now, before creating, I'm just opening the terminal. So to open the terminal, click Terminal and say New Terminal. When I click the New Terminal, okay, I'm just using the command prompt instead of the bash shell. So this is another interesting feature of Visual Studio Code. We can, if you want to work with the Linux operating, the people who are work with Linux, if they are using the Windows, they should feel comfortable, right? So for them, they provide this bash shell. Since we are all from the Windows, we can go with the command prompt or else with the PowerShell. So I'm just using the command prompt. It has been selected. Let me just open the terminal using the command prompt. So now we got these two options. Bash shell I can use, or else I can use this command prompt. So in this, I've cleared the screen. Now, before proceeding further, I want to install the Git in my system. So how to install that Git? So to install the Git, git-sem.com. So it is a distributed version controlling system which is handled to almost everything from a small to very large project. So you can just download this for Windows. I have already installed it in my system. Once it is successfully installed in your system, you can just simply type the command called git -" version. Let me check. Git space -" version. Press enter. If it is installed successfully, it should display this. And this Git, as soon as you install it, you need to, with this we can do the version controlling. So what does this version controlling means? You know that, like, if I'm creating a new file, for example, I'm creating a new file called test.html. So this test.html right now it's having one paragraph. This is what the content it has by default, like para 1. I'm saving it. Later, after saving and I'm closing it, once again I open and I type another line called para 2. So there are two paragraphs are there. So I want to go for the previous one, what I have typed previously. Because of this line, if it is giving some error, I want to revert it back to my previous code. So such things can be done with the help of the version control system. So Git is not only this doing this part, it's doing a lot of other stuff as well. I have explained all those things in my small video, the 20 minutes video. Please go through that. Okay, so let me just delete this test.html. So right now the Git is installed in my local machine, so it can perform the version controlling in my local system. So for working with, before starting this Git, the first thing you need to do here is we need to configure it with the username and the email ID. You can give any email ID and any name in your for locally. In order to use it, you can do anything. For example, I'm just clearing the screen, sorry, CLS. Let me configure it. Git config. This is only one command you are supposed to type. I'm just setting the global user.name as Karthik Muthukrishnan. Press enter. And I'll just set the email address. User.email. So I'm giving one email ID. So this is going to be the email ID which I'm going to use it in my GitHub later. So Karthik_Muthukrishnan @outlook.com. So we have done this. So once we have configured this, you can just simply check git, what is the username, git config user.name. You will get that, and similarly email, you will get the email. So this is the first step. So once this is done, now we are ready to do the version controlling within our local system. Okay, so what we are going to do now is, I'm just going to simply create one file named index.html. So let me just create the index.html. Before moving into that, I just want to work with Git without writing any comments. No comments I'm going to use. I'm just going to simply use the options available here. So to do that, click debug, and there is an option, sorry, click view, and there is an option called SCM. So click SCM, you will get this source control link. Okay, by default it is not available. So I'm having the source control link. Sorry, view source control. Okay, so fine. Now I want to initialize the repository. So as of now, this folder, I'm talking about this Azure web app, it's not ready for performing the version controlling. So I need to start that. In order to start it, you can either type git space init, clear the screen, then you can type git init. If you're not interested to type this command also, simply click view SCM and just initialize this. Okay, this folder. Yeah, it's done. So it is very much similar like typing the git command, git init. So this is the initialization will happen. So this is done. Now I'm going back to my application. Okay, so Git init is done. If nothing, if once again also you can type. Okay, we have created that Git init file. So .git file will be get created in this folder. It is a hidden file so that it is not getting displayed. So in that folder only, lot of things like what are all the changes we are doing, everything will be managed in that particular folder. But now I'm simply creating a new file called index.html. As soon as I create the index.html with some content, let me just have the basic content. I want to have a HTML5 boilerplate code. Can you see that it is not it is untracked. It is saying it is untracked as of now because we have not yet pushed that into my local repository. We have created one repository. In that repository, this file is not yet added so far. We'll add that later. We have created index.html. Now I want the HTML5 boilerplate code. So you know it will start with doc type, HTML and all those stuff, right? So no need to type that. We have a concept called scaffolding. Just cue the exclamation mark and press tab key. It will automatically provide the HTML5 boilerplate code. In this, I'm simply saying as your sample HTML5 application. And I'm having the h1 tag where I'm just saying as your sample web app or just HTML5 app. Saved it. So I have saved it. Have I pushed that into my local repository as of now? Means no, still I have not done it. For that there is a command available. So how to do that? If you want to run this, you can just simply open this folder. Okay, you can just simply running this index.html now. So it's here as your sample HTML5 web app. As of now, it is running locally. I have not pushed this into the Git repository, that is which is running in the local. So I want to push it. So to push it, you can just select this option. You can see that like you can see this option, this index.html. It is untracked. I'll just open view SCM. There is one option here, just you need, this one is untracked, right? I want to push it. I'm just giving a message. Before pushing it into the local repository, we need to always give a message. I'm just saying index.html created with basic code. I've given a message and let me just commit this. So there are no stage changes to commit. Would you like to automatically stage all your changes and commit them directly? Yes, I'm saying. So it is going to be get committed. So this is the first commit that we have done. So whenever you do a commit, okay, you need to just press this button. So whatever changes, it's pending changes. There is no more pending changes here. You can see that it has been successfully done. You can just open the Solution Explorer. And if you do another change, for example, I'm just giving a HR with a paragraph. So sample paragraph added later. Okay, so I'm saving this file. As soon as I save this file, just observe once again, it has been modified. So this change is pending. This pending change needs to be added. So just click view, this SCM. You can see there is one change. I'm just going to give a message and I can commit it. There is no need to do it every time. I'm just giving you an idea. Like we can create multiple files at one shot, you can commit it. Okay, so I'm just saying another paragraph added, and let me commit that. So right now we have the two different things. Like first one, I have just created the initial one, then second one I have gone with the modification. I have added a paragraph later. So these two versions will be maintained in my local system. And how to see that, how to backtrack all those stuff and all, you can see through that video. I'm not going to discuss that as of now. But if you see, we have a Git in my Git repository in my local machine, which is very much similar like we have created a container in your local system. So if this code needs to be it needs to be available to all the users, means it needs to be put it into the public repository. Right now it is in the private repository. So instead of having it in my system, I need to put it into the public repository. That's where the GitHub will come into the picture. Okay, I have already created a GitHub account, so I'm just going to open my GitHub account here. GitHub, it is like our Docker hub. So here also we have an option of creating a private repository, public repository, etc. So now I'm just going to I have logged in already into this GitHub. In this GitHub, I'm just going to simply create a new repository. Okay, Karthik Muthukrishnan / CG demo. Okay, and I'm just saying this repository created for demo purpose. And I'm saying that public, so anyone can take this if they want. So with these things, let me just click create the repository. So when I do that, this part is done. Now the next part here is we need to take our local repository and place it here. So in order to do that, they have provided an option here. You can see that these are the two things you need to do. You can push an existing repository from the command line, or you can import. So better I will just push it. So git remote add. I've copied this, going back to my Visual Studio. Okay, already we have provided the username. If you remember, I'm just giving git config what is that, user.name, right? So user.email address is this one. This is the email address, but this is just for your local. If you want to add it to the global, you need to provide the credential of that GitHub, right? But anyway, I have copied that. Let me paste it, press enter. For the first time when I do that, okay, look at this, there is something is going on. Please wait. So okay, if it is not asking, because probably that user ID and this one has been cached in my Windows credential, so it is taking it. If it is not cached already, it will prompt you with the GitHub user ID and password. You need to provide that, then only you can start pushing these details into the server. Okay, so we have created the remote repository. So we are connecting with the remote repository. I have connected. The credentials has been, since we have given it already, it is taking from the cache. Now I'm going to push this as a master, and you can create a lot of branches and a lot of things are there. So let me just push it as a master's code. So the next command, copy and paste this, press enter. Hopefully now it should ask the password, I guess. Let me see. Yes, this is where, if it is not cached, it will ask you the password. So I'm just giving my email ID, Karthik_Muthukrishnan. This is GitHub's account at outlook.com, and I'm just giving the password. Let me log in. Okay, it's username. Okay, _@ outlook.com. It's asking for the password. forgot the password, just a minute. Okay, let me see whether it's accepting or not. Just a minute. That now I'm opening Visual Studio Code. So the username Karthik_Krishnan at outlook.com. The password yes. Now we have successfully configured our detail. Now whatever it's available in the local repository, it is get published into my GitHub repository. So let me just open and show that to you. Once it is done, so this is a demo repo that we have, CG demo that we have created now. So we have I'm having 6 repositories. So some 43 seconds. This is the repository which I have created, and it has 2 commits so far. You can see that the 2 commits, index.html created with the basic code, another paragraph added. Okay, I'm okay with these 2 commits which has been created by Karthik Muthukrishnan. Okay. So now I want to take this from here to my Azure portal, from the GitHub to Azure portal. So that's a very interesting part. It's hereafter it's going to be like a continuous integration. I'll just show you. So I'm just going into this CG Karthik. This is the app and this is the application. As of now, nothing is there. So I'm just going into this, and let me try to, in the development tools, you can see that there is an option to clone the app. Sorry, not clone. Yep. Deployment center, sorry. Or otherwise you can just go with the quick start of deployment. So what deployment stack you are going to use, it's asking. Better I will just go with deployment center. In the deployment center, we'll be provided with many options. I'm just going to use this is the default one, but I'm not interested in this repository, github.com Azure App Service Sample HTML5 empty site. I'm not interested in this. So let me just disconnect that. So when I disconnect it, so it will ask you how we are going to connect it, from which repository you are going to pick up the files. So I want to clearly mention my details, so that it will try to take the content from my GitHub and try to push it into or deploy that particular code into my CG Karthik website. So by default, it is having some external repository in the GitHub. I have just disconnected that. Now I'm going to provide my repository details here. So I'm disconnecting it once again. I refresh and disconnected. Let me press OK. So as of now, it is with the Git repository. So it has disconnected. Now it will ask you how you are going to do it. Are you going to use the Azure repositories or a GitHub, or from the local Git, or a Bitbucket, from OneDrive, Dropbox, many options, FTP, external. So I'm just using the GitHub, and it is already configured with my user ID. So I can just select that GitHub. If you want, you can change the account, or else you can continue. When I click change the account, it will ask you the new user ID and password. So I'm going to continue with my GitHub account. So continue. And then this is the app service build service which is provided by the Azure to work with the GitHub. So let me just continue, and it will ask you the organization name Karthik Muthukrishnan. It is GitHub account detail, in which repository. So you can see there are a lot of repositories are there. So I am using CG demo. So I'm CG demo. In that CG demo, which branch? Master 1. And then continue, finish. So setting up the deployments. Now it's going to pick up the stuff from there, and it's going to be get synchronized with our web application. Now it's done. So see that. So it is currently, this is the last commit, another paragraph added. So when I try to run this now, you should see that Azure sample HTML5 web app. So throughout the world, anyone can access your site now. Now I'm going to show you the continuous integration. Like for example, in my local here, I'm just going to do some changes here. Okay, like I'm having another horizontal ruler. Okay, so another paragraph added to show in Azure application. Okay, so let me just save this, Control S. So when I save it, you can see there is a modification is there. So this modification is a pending change. I want to push this into my local repository. So I'm just saying one more paragraph added. And let me check in. So when I do a commit, right now it is getting committed in my local repository. Remember that? So when I say yes, this commit is happening in my local repository, not in the GitHub. Let it get added. Yes, there is no pending changes now, but that change, whatever happened, has happened in the, sorry, cancel. The whatever changes happened, that changes has been committed to my local repository, not to the GitHub. Now I want to push it to the GitHub. To do that in GitHub, once again in Visual Studio Code, we have a very nice way. You can see that master, Azure Web App Git. Okay, you can see there is one pending change, nothing to be get downloaded from there, but you can upload it. So what is there to download? Because this particular Git, this particular branch might be work, so many developers might be around the globe, they can keep on contributing. So no changes happened so far in my GitHub public repository, so nothing to download, but one change happened in your local. So you need to synchronize the change by just simply clicking this. When I click this, this action will push and pull the commit to and from the origin/master. Okay, so when I do that, it is trying to push it to the GitHub repository. As soon as it is pushed to the GitHub repository, automatically my Azure will be synchronized. I don't want to write any special code for that. So let I just push it. So right now it is keep on revolving. It will be very fast. I don't know, due to my system, it is taking a lot of time. But if your system is good, unable to fail to connect, timeout. Okay, let me push it once again. So the idea is very simple. Whatever there in the local repository, that needs to be go to the public repository. Once it is available in the public repository, automatically my Azure will take that from there. So no need to write any special things for that. It will be timeout only once again. think there is some problem in the web itself. We'll see is that the GitHub is working. Yeah, you can see that one more paragraph has been added and it is committed. So once it is committed, you can see that when you refresh this, or you can see it is automatically done. Another paragraph added, and you can see that in your Azure sample site. Where is it? I'll just take this from here. CG Karthik is there, right? So refresh, you can see it got added. So this is a way we can work with sample HTML5 web application. And in this demo, we have seen many things. I have given you an idea about what is this app service plan. In the app service plan, we have created a free service plan. Then I have just used a HTML5 web application. For that HTML5 web application, in the development, I use the Visual Studio Code. Through Visual Studio Code, I use the Git and GitHub without writing any commands. Okay, we have pushed this code from the local repository to the global repository, which is in the GitHub. From there, I push it to the Azure web application and it is getting displayed. So this is all about working with the normal HTML5 application. So in the upcoming videos, we are going to see a lot of other things, like how to publish it from the Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, how to work with the deployment slots, how to create a custom domain. I don't want CG Karthik, instead of that it should be karthikmuthukrishnan.com. So if I'm having a custom domain, how to just make that to mark with that custom domain. And also I'm going to show you what is this cross origin resource sharing. So let me stop the recording.